In the heart of Belize, where Caribbean breeze meets bustling towns and quiet beaches hold 1,000 secrets, 17-year-old Amara Palacio has one of her own, a shoebox filled with unsent love letters, one for every boy she's ever loved. She never meant for anyone to read them. They were just for her. Private, poetic farewells to crushes past and feelings too big to say out loud. But when her little sister Kira accidentally mails the letters out, Amara's carefully guarded world spins out of control. Now 5 boys from her past, each from a different corner of Belize, start reappearing in her life. There's Jordan, the charismatic soccer star with the smirk that started it all. Zane, the island soul who made her laugh like no one else. Nico, the tortured artist who turned heartbreak into canvas. And Malik, her childhood best friend, the one who never needed a letter to know how she felt. As old flames spark, jealousies rise, and secrets come to light, Amara finds herself in the middle of a love triangle, or maybe a square, she never planned for. With her heart tugging in every direction, she must figure out who she truly wants, and who has loved her back all along. To all the boys I once loved in Belize is a warm, witty, and romantic coming-of-age story about letting go of the past, embracing the messy beauty of real love, and finally writing a letter to the one person she's always overlooked, herself. Before we get into our story, I would like to invite you to subscribe to my channel, give the video a thumbs up, comment so that I can know your thoughts and share my channel with your friends. I thank you for watching. Enjoy. If you ever find a love letter written to you that you were never meant to see, please don't read it on the bus, especially not the 5:30 p.m. James bus line from Dangriga to Belize City. And especially not if the letter says your lips were as unforgettable as the first mangrove breeze in June. But of course he did. I knew something was off the second I boarded the bus. The air was heavy with the scent of coconut oil and grilled chicken from somebody's brown paper bag. My little sister Kira had just texted me 4 words that turned my stomach inside out. He has the letter. It didn't take much to guess which she meant. There were only 5 boys I'd ever written letters to. 5 moments of secret, overwhelming teenage love that never made it to the surface. Until now. Apparently my secret stash of unsent letters, hidden in an old shoebox under my bed in our Belmopan home, had somehow made their way out into the world. The boy with the unforgettable lips? Jordan Young, the half Garifuna, half Chinese soccer star from Wesley College, who once kissed me during a rainstorm at Memorial Park and then never spoke to me again. And now he was sitting in seat 14A holding my letter. I ducked behind a woman selling tambran balls from a Ziploc bag and slipped into the back row, heart pounding. The letter was supposed to be private, just for me, a way to let go of each crush that consumed me. There was one for Zane from San Pedro, who taught me how to snorkel and whose freckles made my heart stutter. One for Nico from Cayo, who painted murals of jaguars and gave me a sunflower on my 16th birthday. And yes, one for Jordan, the biggest what if of them all. Now the what if was looking dead at me, walking down the aisle of the bus. "You wrote this?" he asked, waving the paper in front of my face, his smile crooked like he already knew the answer. "No," I blurted. "It was for a school project." Jordan laughed. "Sure, a school project about how much you loved me?" I wanted the ground or the bus floor to swallow me whole. That bus ride changed everything. The next day, Jordan showed up at Martha's Cafe in Belize City, where I worked on weekends. I was pouring cold brew for tourists when I looked up and saw him leaning on the counter like it was totally normal for him to be there, smelling like salt air and mischief. I liked what you wrote, he said casually, handing me a paper with his number scrawled on it. That's not funny. I'm not joking. As days passed, the fallout from the letters turned my peaceful, predictable world upside down. Somehow, I found myself fake dating Jordan to cover up the fact that my real feelings were aimed at someone else entirely. Malik Castillo, my neighbor from Kings Park and my sister's best friend. Malik with his late-night guitar strumming and thick poetry books. Malik who read every letter too, and who told me one day on the Belize swing bridge that he had written letters too, about me. Under the moonlight at old Belize Marina, surrounded by the smell of salt and the rhythm of punta in the distance, I finally understood. Love, in all its messy, unexpected, and sometimes embarrassing glory, was never meant to be controlled. It wasn't meant to be hidden in shoeboxes. Sometimes the only way to find love is to risk letting it all out. It started with Kira. My 13-year-old sister had a curious streak and a mischievous smile that could undo kingdoms. She said she was just organizing when she found the shoebox. You should thank me, she told me later, her eyes wide with innocence. Now you'll finally have a love life. Instead, I had drama and panic attacks, and 5 boys now looking at me like I was a walking, talking open diary. Jordan was smooth like cassava bread, crunchy on the outside, soft in the middle. He played forward for his university football team in Belmopan, and once told me during a mango fight in Buttonwood Bay Park that he didn't believe in love. People change too much, he'd said. I guess I never forgot that, even though I pretended I did. But now, he seemed like he was changing his mind. Zane lived in San Pedro and had sea in his soul. We had a summer fling when I stayed with my Auntie Ray on the island. He was calm, kind, and carried a conch shell in his backpack for luck. His letter had a sketch of a sea turtle and a confession that my laugh made him nervous. I hadn't seen him since I was 16, until he called me out of the blue after getting the letter. You still laugh like that? He asked. Nico was from San Ignacio, tall, dreadlocked, always with paint on his hands. He called the world his canvas, and me his muse, for about 3 weeks in Form 4. His letter was the most dramatic, full of cosmic energy and unspoken fire. When he saw me at the Bliss Center after the letters came out, he just smiled and said, "Guess the universe isn't done with us." Malik was the boy next door, literally. We shared a fence and a childhood. My parents loved him like a second son. He was always around, fixing my bike, arguing with Kira over who ate the last stewed chicken, quoting Maya Angelou like it was scripture. I didn't realize until the letters were out how many little ways he'd always seen me, and I definitely didn't expect him to write me back. When Jordan suggested we pretend to date so we could both dodge awkward questions from our friends and families, I laughed in his face. Then I said yes. It started simply. A few staged photos at the Split in Key Corker, tagging each other in Instagram stories, showing up together at the Belize High School alumni bar, BQ, but fake started feeling a little too real when Jordan picked tamarind from his grandmother's tree and brought it over just because. "You still like tamarind with salt and pepper?" he asked, already knowing the answer. A week later, I found a note on my window, written in neat, careful penmanship. "Dear Amara, you once wrote that I looked at the stars like I was trying to remember something. Maybe I was trying to remember you. I clutched it like it was a love song. I knew the handwriting. Malik. I was caught in the space between pretend and possibility. One boy was in front of the cameras, the other behind the scenes. And for the first time in my life, I didn't know who I was pretending for and who I was truly falling for. One Saturday evening, the sun gold and dipping low over the Haulover Creek, Malik and I met halfway on the Belize swing bridge. "You loved all of them?" he asked, trying to sound playful, but his voice cracked a little. "Not the way I loved you," I whispered. He blinked, like he wasn't expecting me to say it first. "I used to count the times you said my name," he said. It always sounded like a promise. Jordan invited me to Key Calker for a chill day that turned into anything but. We took the sea taxi across, the wind whipping through our hair, the sea glinting like a secret. On the boat, he leaned in close, his cologne a mix of coconut and something I couldn't name. We laughed about our classmates' reactions to our relationship, but the whole time I kept thinking about Malik's letter. At the Lazy Lizard, we drank lime juice with a hint of rum, and Jordan said, "You know, if we weren't faking this—" I stared at him. "Yeah, I think I could really fall for you." He wasn't joking. His gaze lingered too long. His hand brushed mine like it meant something. And I realized something dangerous. I wanted to believe him. Back home in Belmopan, Malik was waiting on the steps of our house, peeling a mango with his pocket knife. "Had fun on your fake date?" he asked, tossing me a piece. I took it silently, letting the juice drip down my fingers. "You jealous?" I asked. He shrugged, eyes unreadable. "Just surprised you're such a good actress." "What if I'm not acting?" I snapped before I could stop myself. He stood up slowly. "Then I guess I've got competition." As he walked away, I felt like screaming, or maybe crying, because deep down I didn't want a competition. I wanted clarity, but my heart wasn't cooperating. September 21st, Belize City was alive. Flags waving, drums beating, people dancing in the streets. I was supposed to go with Jordan, but Malik texted at the last minute. "You coming to Battlefield Park or not?" I stood in front of the mirror for 10 full minutes. Then I ditched Jordan and went to Malik. We found a quiet spot near the Supreme Court building, watching the parade from behind a coconut stand. Everything felt right. Like this, us, was always the plan. Then Jordan showed up. He saw us, saw how close we were sitting, how Malik brushed mango juice off my lip, and Jordan didn't yell. He didn't make a scene. He just said, "So that's how it is," and walked away, fireworks lighting up the sky behind him like something out of a bad movie. The next day, I faced Jordan outside Martha's cafe. "You could have just told me," he said. "I thought we were friends." "I didn't plan this." "No, you didn't. You planned to pretend to love me. What happened with Malik? That's what's real." His words hit harder than they should have. Jordan wasn't the same boy from the letter. He wasn't a fantasy anymore. He was someone I hurt. That night, Malik showed up with a box. Inside were old Polaroids, shared music playlists, even a broken piece of the fence between our yards. "I've been loving you in quiet ways for years," he said. "Then why didn't you say anything?" "Because I thought I had time," he said. "But then you started writing letters and pretending to love everyone but me." Silence. Then, soft as a secret, "I want to be the last letter you ever write." Just when I thought I had enough boys to deal with, Zayn Marin came back into the picture like a tropical storm with no warning. Literally. He showed up during a thunderstorm at the Image Factory, drenched, holding a sketch pad and a container of ceviche. "I got your letter late," he said, and I haven't stopped thinking about it since. You live in San Pedro, Zane? So? You live in my head. Smooth, too smooth. He said he was doing an art residency in Belize City for a month and wanted to see where this goes. I wanted to say no, but my heart fluttered a little too loudly to ignore. The next day, I found out that Kira, my meddling little sister, hadn't just mailed the letters. She'd made copies. She sent all of them the same day to all 5 boys, including a 6th letter I'd forgotten I even wrote. A 6th letter to Malik. I never meant for that one to see daylight. It was the oldest one, written when I was 13, the first time I realized I loved him, after he held my hand during a hurricane when I thought our roof might fly off. Malik had read that letter before he wrote me back, which meant he knew I'd been in love with him for years. I thought things with Jordan had cooled off, but apparently not. I found out from a friend at Galentine's salon that Jordan had been telling people we were still dating for clout. He'd been using the fake relationship to score popularity points with his teammates and even land a spot on a student leadership panel. When I confronted him, he just said, "You started the lie." I just made it work for me. It stung. Not because I wanted him, but because I had wanted him to be better. Zane invited me, Malik, and Kira to Bird's Isle for a weekend trip. Big mistake. Tension was thick like cohewn oil. Zane kept casually touching my hand, and Malik's jaw was clenched so hard he could have cracked open conch shells. Then, while everyone was out kayaking, I overheard Zane telling Kira, "I know I'm late to the game, but if she gives me one chance, I swear, she'll forget the others." Later that night, I asked Malik if he believed in timing. "I believe in people who show up," he said, eyes burning into mine. "Not the ones who circle back when it's convenient." Ouch. Just when I thought I had enough entanglements, Nico Reyes sent me a voice note. "Amara, I didn't come back to your life just to stir things up. I came back because I've got an art show in Dangriga, and every painting in it, they're all of you. Come see it. If you don't feel something, I'll leave you alone forever." I listened to that message 3 times, my heart confused, my brain overwhelmed. The art gallery in Dangriga was packed. The air smelled like linseed oil and fresh paint, mixed with the sea breeze that drifted in through open jalousie windows. Nico's show was called Echoes of Amara. I wasn't prepared. There were 10 paintings, all of me, but not in obvious ways. My silhouette under a flamboyant tree, my hand curled around a cup of tea, the way I looked staring into a mirror. One piece, huge, haunting, showed a girl standing in the rain at Memorial Park, eyes closed, face tilted up like she was trying to remember how to breathe. Nico appeared behind me. "That's the one I painted after you kissed Jordan." I swallowed. "How did you even know?" "I saw it happen. I went home and painted it like I was trying to bleed it out." He reached out but didn't touch me. "If you want to give me a shot, I'll be all in, but if you don't, tell me now. I need to move forward." I looked at him. Really looked. He was beautiful, kind, talented, and completely in love with a version of me frozen in memory. That night, I sat on the dock in Placentia, journal in my lap, the sea calm beneath my feet. I wrote the final letter, not to Malik, not to Jordan or Zane or Nico, to myself. "Dear Amara, you've spent so long writing letters to boys, chasing closure in all the wrong places, but you don't need them to see your worth. You are not a question waiting for an answer. You are the whole story. Love, you." I tore the page out, folded it, and let it float into the sea. Back in Belmopan, I walked past the fence between our houses, the one Malik and I used to crawl through as kids. He was sitting on his side, book in hand, headphones on. I threw a tambourine ball at him. He looked up, startled, then smiled. Seriously? I choose you, I said. His smile faded into something softer. Why now? Because I'm done pretending. Because I've seen what it's like to be admired from afar. I want someone who sees me right here. He stood, crossed the fence in 2 steps, and kissed me. No fireworks, no music, just home. Weeks later, I opened my journal and wrote one final line. To all the boys I once loved, thank you. But this story belongs to the boy who never had to read a letter to know how I felt. Malik was next to me, strumming his guitar, humming a song he said was mine. And this time I didn't need a letter. I just needed us. The sun was rising over Hopkins, casting soft gold across the sea, and Malik was late. Again. I stood barefoot on the veranda of our cozy beachfront cabin, sipping coffee and watching pelicans dive into the water like they owned the place. We'd rented the cabin for our 1 year not exactly anniversary trip, because Malik insisted anniversaries were too mainstream. Can I help it if I'm a rebel? He said when I brought it up. We got together on, October 9th at like 6:52 p.m.? Should I be buying roses down to Brody's every month now? I rolled my eyes then, and again now, because I heard his voice before I saw him. Sorry, he said, hopping up the steps, a brown paper bag in one hand and his guitar slung over his back. The Fry Jacks were fighting me, but I won. He handed me the bag, grinning. Inside, Fry Jacks, beans, cheese, and a small folded napkin. I opened it. On it was scrawled, "To the girl I never had to write a letter to, you're still my favorite story." I looked up, and he kissed the tip of my nose. Still writing in that journal? I smirked. Only when I want to remember something forever. In the distance, I could hear kids laughing, boats being prepped for the morning catch, and the soft beat of Garifuna drums warming up near the village center. Love didn't always come with fireworks or dramatic music. Sometimes it came with Fry Jacks, a quiet morning, and a boy who showed up again and again. And for me, that was more than enough. Sometimes the love we're searching for in others is a reflection of the love we need to give ourselves. Only when we stop pretending, start healing, and embrace who we truly are, can we open our hearts to love that's real, rooted, and ready to grow. Thank you for listening to my story. If you enjoyed my story, let me know in the comment. And if you didn't subscribe to my channel, please do so now for more Caribbean romance.